Right, guys, this is the final part, and this has to be and this is the bit I think you should also be thinking about, because I've said this again before, that all ratios are connected. The question here is, how do we connect them? What's the connection? Let me just come here, click on my eraser, just rub all this out. All ratios are connected. So what am I saying? I'm saying that, second, just give myself some clean space. So I want to stop talking about what is the obvious now. I want to go to the other ratios. Because if you think about it, they wouldn't just have given you all of this without any, like, oh, it absolutely doesn't mean anything. Let's look here. So let's talk about this question of gross profit. After all, I'm using this mock to teach. The gross profit margin has increased. This is always a good thing. When people hear gross profit margin, that's great. Now, what is gross profit margin? Well, gross profit margin is literally gross profit as a percentage of revenue, right? So now, if your gross profit margin has, if you like, increased, let's look at that. That's revenue minus cost of sale, which is equal to gross profit. It means that something has happened here. I've been able to increase my revenue, and if you like, yeah, here we are, reduce my cost of sale, if you like, in some capacity. That's where I'm going here. Now, the problem here is that the reason why we prepare a statement of cash flows, if you like, is that it's possible to have a lot of profit and absolutely no cash. So we can suppose, right, that because to have an increase in the margin, it means that you have done something here. So there's some bright spark here. There's some life here, because whatever the case is, it has increased. This is a steady increase, if you like, year on year. 2% here, 3% here, 2% here, and you could do the percentage increases if you want to, or the overall increase. So something's going on. Either you have, if you remember what I've talked about, you can have a sales mix difference, a new markets, maybe new customers, or the key point is you've been able to somehow increase the price in some capacity. I don't know, maybe you've gone for products, you've mixed up the products, and so you've been able to increase the price on products that are typically inelastic, and you've been able to get away with it. But the key point here is that, well, just because you are able to push out goods and sell them on credit does not mean you'll get the cash straight away. And again, lots of wonderful clues here. Right at the bottom of this thing, it says that this people believe that they'll be able to increase the selling price by 20%, and and therefore they wish this to begin on the 1st of September. But here's the problem: generally, when you're trying to break into new markets and when you're trying to sell goods to new people, you have to give extra credit and give them a longer time to pay, which means that will hurt your cash flow definitely, because you're not going to have money coming in. So what you're saying is, yes, we can see an increase in revenue. Yes, you're able to sell at an increase. Let's just assume you're able to even improve this, if you like, for whatever reason. The key point is that your cash flow, you are struggling with your cash flow. So it's not about profitability. Profitability is good, but we can see that because you're selling goods on credit, yes, profit is good, and we can see that increase, but it seems that one, you don't have enough cash to be able to meet your short-term liabilities, or you're selling on credit and your trade receivables are building up. But you also seem to have, if you like, a build-up of inventory as well. So you're not managing your inventory. I think what we need to probably argue then is for some more information, we would like to see the inventory turnover days. That's the first thing. That's just looking at the gross profit margin. I mean, it could have been that you have gotten the product for less somewhere. That is possible. We don't have any evidence, so you want to suppose the two. Either it's to do with revenue or it's to do with cost of sales. So either we're able to where we have a different supplier and we're able to improve our margins. But the key point here is that somehow, for one reason or the other, you're not able to get your money in as soon as possible. And I suggest, just because of this statement, that you are selling to new customers and you have some new contracts coming up. The other very important ratio that I want you then to now look at is this one here of profit in relation to revenue. So here's profit in relation to revenue. Here's the thing. You can see that despite this being increasing, we have a fall, if you like, in your net profit or your profit from operations. So it means that you're selling on credit, but there's certain fixed costs, right? Your overheads, because that's what's going on right here. Your overheads are increasing. Your overheads are increasing. And typically, if you think of certain overheads, they're fixed and you have to pay for them. So yes, you're selling on credit, but you have to pay. Your overheads are increasing, so maybe your wages are increasing as well. So yes, revenue is increasing, but what we really want to argue, I'm going to repeat this, what we really want to argue is see what the overheads are, I talked about this in class, as a percentage of revenue. Because yes, gross profit is increasing, but overheads are also increasing. So in fact, in this year, overheads increased, obviously, overheads increased by more than revenue did from 2016 to 2017, which is why, although you have a positive increase in the 2016, you have a fall in your net profit. And that's what I want in this exam. I don't want the discussion general. I want this breakup. And then you will see that you move straight into AO3, and the rest becomes elementary. So that's the key thing there. And generally, these fixed overheads are paid with cash, typically paid with cash, and there's a lot of cash going out as well. So you can then come back and talk about what they're saying here, that you now see that in terms of finishing off in terms of judgment, they will have potentially interest costs, the consequences, they might lose assets, but that's kind of the growth pattern I want you to go with these ratios. Then, of course, like with all ratios, you want to talk about comparing it to the industry, and that's all very well and good. But I really want a breakdown of these numbers. That's where I want the grades to be at. Okay, great stuff. And that's what I'm looking for tomorrow. This type of full-on discussion and a breakup of the numbers. Okay, great stuff. Good luck.